Man, Dragon's Dogma 2 is amazing. The combat feels fresh, the world is expansive, and traveling is just a joy. What is happening? Dragon's Dogma 2 is a classic, tried and true open world RPG. Like, I'm pretty sure I spent more time walking across this map to a boss fight than I did actually fighting the boss. And that was before I realized I could travel by ox cart. Oh, not again. Now, I didn't play Dragon's Dogma 1, but I've heard some interesting things about it.
You fight God.
And when I heard that these games are highly respected by Souls fans, I thought, meh. Why not? Right away, I want to say that this game does not feel like a sequel at all, and I think that's exactly what Capcom was going for. Because pretty much all the story beats, gameplay mechanics, and world exploration mirrors the first game's style, to the point where part of the intro here is exactly the same as Dragon's Dogma 1. You're just a dude in town until a dragon attacks and steals your heart and makes you the Arisen. And from there, it's your typical RPG standard of, I'm gonna go kill that fucking dragon, he thinks he can steal my heart, I'm gonna go show him. Oh, what's that? You want me to find out about your mom's secret affair?
Shit, that dragon can wait.
Now, this game isn't perfect, and it definitely isn't for everyone. If you thought Death Stranding was a walking simulator, then oh boy, you will not like this. Quests take multiple hours, gameplay mechanics aren't really explained, and characters are just about as important as that one weird cousin you have. You know their mom, but every time you go over for Thanksgiving, you kind of forget that they exist. So why do I love this game? Well, at first, I actually really didn't like the game. Between the combat feeling a bit jank and the unnecessary yapping everyone does, I almost dropped the game completely. But I stuck around, mainly because of the punishing exploration and unique gameplay mechanics. The story is there and the game really tries hard to make you care about what's happening with the characters involved, but it's kind of just meh. Honestly, the story here isn't really that all important. I won't be spoiling it all, just don't get your hopes up. Other than that, Dragon's Dogma 2 feels like a diamond in the rough kind of game that'll keep your attention so you can be ready for every random encounter that happens. Also, I kind of just wanted something to play until Shadows of the Erdtree comes out,
Which I'm giving away.
All you gotta do is visit the link in the description in this video and it'll send you to my landing page where you can do various tasks to gain more entries into the giveaway. I highly recommend subscribing since doing that will get you 5 more entries into the giveaway. So good luck, and yeah. Back to the video.
It's about drive, it's about power. Free NBA Youngboy! Ah!
Dragon's Dogma 2 is a different type of game. Its gameplay feels like a half serving of Monster Hunter, a sprinkle of Skyrim, and a tablespoon of Dark Souls. Because every time you leave a town for anything, you're gonna get into a fight, whether it be some goblins, or some enemy NPCs, or these guys are pawns. They're basically your followers throughout this whole game's world. You can have up to 3 follow you, with one of them being your main pawn, who you can also customize in the character creator. Hello, Tomb Raider from the hit game Tomb Raider. They basically form your party and help you traverse through the world with combat, quests, and high fives. There's even an in-game disease with the pawns that makes the system a whole lot more interesting, but I'm not gonna spoil it, I'll let you find that out on your own. Honestly, this is one of the best follower systems I've ever seen, with your main pawn being the most important since you can build their class and vocations. Vocations are basically combat styles or classes. The game has 9 vocations in total, but for the sake of spoilers, I'm only gonna show off the first 4. Best part is that you can switch vocations anytime you want, so you're not bound to a specific class right away. Like during some of the beginning side quests, I was playing as a fighter until I got bored of the same old Dark Souls playstyle and switched up to an archer, which changed my entire approach to combat. I had to switch different pawns so that they can draw enemy attention so I can shoot them from afar. The other vocations are unlocked through side quests, and a lot of the side quests in the game are pretty well hidden. But in my opinion, I think that just encourages better exploration throughout the game's world. The combat, like I mentioned, does feel a little janky, and the fight is usually against the camera 25% of the time. There's no lock on to focus on enemies, and it took me a while to get used to it, but by hour 20, I barely cared for it. The weapons and build crafting feel pretty good and straightforward, especially with each vocation specializing in different fighting styles and abilities. As far as quests are concerned, not too many of them involve combat inside the main story. Most of the combat in the game just kind of happens. You can climb on monsters, throw rocks at them, and even use them to traverse through half the area. So the combat here is pretty good, and I think what makes this game so addicting to play in the first place. But there are some parts of Dragon's Dogma 2's gameplay that I don't enjoy very much, and it's not so much as the combat's fault as it is the health and rest system. Basically, whenever you're traveling from point A to point B in the world, you're gonna run into some enemies, and maybe even a boss, you know, no problem, just kill the boss and move on. The thing is, This can happen like 5 times in one road trip, so it can get kinda annoying with 1. Barely getting a chance to breathe, 2. The more items you pick up, the heavier you are, so you lose stamina quicker, and 3. The fucking health rest system. Over time as you play the game, you'll notice that you have 2 kinds of health bars. One being the health that you can heal, and the other being the total amount of health that you have at a given time. The only way to get the total amount of health back is by resting, which admittedly isn't bad. You know, I actually really like how that works. But when an inn costs 10,000 gold, I start getting a little upset, which is why I prefer the camping system. Mainly because it is way more convenient and satisfying, because when you're camping, you have the option to cook, so you can give some bonuses to your team like health recovery and damage output. The best part about camping are the cutscenes when you cook. I didn't add this in. This is in-game footage of cooking at a campfire, dude. It is awesome. Everything else in Dragon's Dogma 2's gameplay is there for you to figure out, and I think it's better experienced in person, since everything here really does have that fuck around and find out vibe to it, both in a good and bad way, because this game's world is something else, man. Capcom took the genre of open world RPG to heart, because you can pretty much do anything you want here. Like, you're not supposed to access this part of the game until way later, and it pretty much tells you to your face. However, you can just take another way around and be there as soon as the prologue is over. There is absolutely nothing stopping you here from going off the beaten path, but in turn, that also means you can make a lot of mistakes. There's multiple ways to solve quests, kill essential NPCs, and skip whole sections just because you can. That's what I primarily love about Dragon's Dogma 2. It's what makes this game feel so unique, because games these days want to be the latest and greatest hard game, but that usually just boils down to the enemy having a lot of health and can hit you pretty hard. Dragon's Dogma 2's world to me has the same vibe as something to akin of Dark Souls, with a world that feels genuinely hostile with monsters and encounters in every corner. Usually when you think of an open world game, you imagine a lot of points of interest and satisfying exploration. This game has that, but only if you find it. You see, Dragon's Dogma 2's game design is just different. You know how in The Witcher 3, there's these boards with a bunch of side quests you can complete, and those side quests usually involve markers on where to go with pretty descriptive information as to who or what you're looking for? Yeah, fuck all that.
This is Dragon's Dogma 2, baby.
This NPC wants me to investigate a piece of a note he found, so logically, he should know who I need to reach out to figure this out, right? Nuh-uh. The fuck you mean, nuh-uh? Legit, this is just one of the many side quests in this game that don't have quest markers or even show up in your quest tab. You can run into a new town and there will be no indication on your map or mini-map that anybody wants to talk to you. And you know what? I actually really enjoy it. This game forces you to actually walk around these towns and talk to people so that they can present you with the next side quest. Now, granted, once you receive a side quest, you're usually giving a quest marker. Sometimes you'll have a general location of where the quest objective is, or no quest marker at all. And as someone who's played Elden Ring, this shit ain't new to me. It's that point of paying attention to the character names and dialogue that makes these side quests easier to complete, and it feels satisfying when you do complete them with no guides whatsoever. Dragon's Dogma 2 doesn't exactly hold your hand, it kinda just holds your pinky. Like, oh yeah, here's your next quest marker, 2 real life hours away. Go figure out how to get there with limited fast travel, and God forbid you forget a camping kit. And like I said, I absolutely love it. There's a reason why the world here feels alive. You can't just look at your map and find where quests and items are. You have to actually thoroughly explore a town. There's even an area in the game that has no quest markers leading to it, and it contains one of the most interesting and frustrating side quests in the entire game. And it's the secret stuff like this that makes the game actually worth exploring. I understand walking to a quest 2 hours away does suck, but you don't necessarily have to walk or even fast travel. You can take this baby right here. I swear, these things are a godsend because they make traveling a breeze. Only downside to them is that 50% of the time, about halfway through the ride, you'll get jumped by some monsters. But I use this to actually get to quest markers that are closer to that halfway point, so it's actually really useful when it doesn't get destroyed. To close out this video, I think we should address the elephant in the room. I'm sure you all heard of the ridiculous microtransactions Capcom decided to include with the game, and how because of this the game is now seen as mostly negative. There's been a lot of misinformation regarding this, so I'm gonna try to clear it up with some of the misconceptions people are making about the game. Pretty much all the items listed here are one-time uses, and with that said, it's DLC, so you can purchase the item, but Once it's gone, it's gone. A lot of these are mainly just time savers. Personally, I beat the game without buying any of these, because everything here can be found in-game. Legit, the Wake Stones, the item that allows you to revive NPCs, can be found with this item where you can get at this shop. It's actually more common than you think around this game's world. In my opinion, Dragon's Dogma 2 is very, very good. I think I actually love it, but at times I can understand why a lot of people absolutely hate it. It's not optimized very well, and it seems to mostly be CPU bound, because you'll be walking in the main town of the game and notice that NPCs in the same area or the same room as you just fade into the existence. It's to the point where I think Starfield does this better. By the way, I re-downloaded Starfield just to get this clip. Now, I've seen comments where people say that these problems primarily occur on console, and with that said, I've seen some of the gameplay on console, and it isn't good. But I'm playing this game on PC with these settings, and I'm still struggling to maintain 60 frames in populated areas. But overall, those are my only issues with the game. I have yet to find a single bug, and for today's modern gaming reputation, that's honestly really impressive.
It has something for everyone, and if you just need something to hold you over until your next big game comes out, I think this is a pretty solid choice. Not to mention the secret end game to this that makes the game just 10 times better. Just be careful of the wolves.
Help!